What's up, guys? So I want to give an analysis on Lil Roar's music video called Give Me an Answer. One note before I actually begin though is that this music video is already confirmed to have a lot of ties to Death Stranding already. Hideo Kojima is working really closely with this band in order to promote Death Stranding. So with that being said, let's get right into the video.
I'm taking everyone out for a ride, I promise.
What's up, guys? So I would like to begin this analysis by focusing on the three passengers. Two of the passengers seem completely knocked out. However, one of them is looking outside of the window. I think that this scene is showing that the two people on the right who are asleep because they're sound at mind. You know, they're completely okay with their decision. They're at peace. However, the person on the left side who is looking outside of the window, he has a lot on his mind. He's really thinking about the situation and if he actually wants to go through with it. I think this is a great scene and a great way to show these characters' state of mind.
It won't take long. It's such a silly disguise that you're hiding behind, but don't take it wrong. I know that
now the three people are going up the stairs here. The guy who's on edge seems to be wanting to go first just to get this over with, while the two are just relaxed walking into this area.
time and the space they
I would want to talk about the person outside standing by the car for a second. I think he's some sort of transporter, that he brings people to this location because he's standing out here not even curious as to what's going on upstairs. He knows what's going down. So I feel he's more of an insider, if anything.
you need is blurry, but I'll get on. It's getting hard to tell.
Now here, as the door closes, we see a circle or a zero on the door, whatever you like to call it. Now what I think that this circle actually is, if you remember Mads Mikkelsen's tweet a while ago, it pretty much showed a hole and a dog getting sucked through that hole. This is pretty much how a lot of scientists theorize how you'll be able to travel through a black hole into a different dimension, that the hole will be very, very tiny to go into, and I find that extremely interesting. I think that is how the people going into this room is going into another dimension.
Day from a day, just say it and I'll move on. So give me an answer. Just give me an answer. Just give me an answer.
So as the three decide who goes first, the person picks up 3 sticks that are already on the bed, and each of the other two grab a stick. Whoever picks the longest one gets to go first, the second longest one gets to go second, and the shortest one gets to go last. So because the man with the hoodie gets to go first, he begins his descent into the bathroom. However, if you look over to the right, it looks like this woman is pretty disappointed, if anything. I think she really wanted to go first. And I think that represents the state of mind of the person in the hoodie and the female. They're just okay with their decision. They're calm, relaxed, and they know what they're getting into.
A simple response would make this okay. It's foggy, but
He seems to be looking in the mirror, wondering what happens next, I guess, because he's just looking here, not really doing much. Perhaps they have to look into the mirror in order to look into another dimension. Once they look into another dimension, someone on the other side is looking at them, saying, okay, there's a person here, let's get it started. That's most likely is the case here, because he looks in the mirror first and then something happens.
what do you want?
It then goes back to the man on edge again. He goes to the TV and he starts slapping it because it refuses to turn on.
I keep running to
As the man in the bathroom turns around, now that the people on the other side of the mirror see that he's there and that he's ready, he notices that the cords are on the ground. I also want to say that Kojima has stressed that this game will be about connections, about the ropes that tie people together.
places and places.
As the man steps into the shower, the process of transporting him actually begins. We see evidence of this with the TV that the man on edge was trying to turn on. That begins to flicker as if all the electronics in the area start going crazy when this process starts. Perhaps it takes a lot of electricity in order to keep going.
Remind me of who you are. You give me
As the process is on its way, the person is looking up. There is now a red light that's over his head that he begins to look at. I think the red light is signifying that, whatever is about to happen is happening, that the process cannot be reverted at this point.
an answer.
The character looks down on his hand now, and it's covered with ink. If this reminds you of anything, it's the first trailer with Norman Reedus, how his hands were covered in ink when he was holding the baby, and the ink that was in Guillermo del Toro's trailer with the tanks that are roaming by. This ink seems to have more of a meaning than just being ink, or oil, whatever this actually is. So the person in the shower, there is more oil or ink coming down, and if you notice behind him, the background seems to be changing. It seems to be very disordered at this point. Perhaps this is him being transported to whatever dimension he's being transported to, and I think that is so interesting.
Give me an answer. Give me
Now this scene, this guy he's just yawning, but I think he's yelling in pain that this actually hurts. I think maybe that this ink or oil, it's not what they think. They just want to be transported to a different dimension. However, I think that this ink serves as some kind of mind control. If you remember in Guillermo del Toro's trailer with Mads Mikkelsen character, I think he controls the ink, and the soldiers around him are just normal people like the people in this trailer. That they're just people who want to be put into another world. However, they just become slaves to whoever holds this device. With the electricity and all the electronic devices turning to normal, no longer malfunctioning, that's how you know the process is over, and the woman now knows that it's her turn to go in. Just like the character from before, the woman turns around after looking into the mirror, and then she sees that the device has been placed here. Again, I feel this mirror is some kind of mirror into another dimension, that when the people on the other side of the mirror see her, that they know that she's ready. Mirrors are often depicted as other worlds, or worlds to, hell and to heaven and to different places, and that you're looking at a different version of yourself in the mirror. Mirrors are often depicted as devices or ways to look into a different world. And we can see how much this decision is taking a toll on his mind. Perhaps he has some kind of connection to the woman and doesn't want her to go through with it. That's why he's starting to go all insane. And I just want to point out that the woman's experience compared to the previous person in the hoodie, his experience, are very different. His experience was, at first he was wondering what's going on by looking at his hand and saying, "What's this ink?" But then we saw him yelling in pain. However, in this view right here, this woman seems very relaxed in the shower, as if this is not hurting her at all, despite the ink or oil going down her face. We see him here now slapping the door as the process goes on. Perhaps here he's trying to save the woman, saying, "Don't do it, this is a mistake, we shouldn't be doing this." I'm not exactly sure. I don't think he's rushing her because it seems like the process doesn't take too long. I think he just doesn't want to do this anymore and doesn't want anybody else to be sucked into this. Ink now seems to be oozing down her face here, and if you look at the background, it begins to get a little distorted. We see a hole in the wall behind her. I think, again, this is Mads Nicholson tweet coming in. Remember the beginning of the video, I said that Mads Nicholson, he posted a tweet of a little hole and a dog getting sucked inside of it. Perhaps this is how it happens. They go into whatever place has this ink available, the ink comes down and they're sucked into the hole that you see directly behind her. Here we see her eyes start to change color a little bit. It's a very hard frame. There's not really much I can do to make it a bit better, but you can see that the background, just like the man, is now becoming very distorted in that it's not the same background as before. So here it is. This is what I think is happening for the first ending to this video. The man is so frustrated at this point that he really just wants to interrupt the process to save the woman that's inside. So he's just staring at the door. However, before he does anything, we see the reality of the world. We see the entire screen getting distorted. It's not just inside of the bathroom anymore. And that is very interesting. I don't know why this has happened. Perhaps he is really about to interrupt this, and that is destroying the world around him. The man now opens up the door as this process is going on. He's greeted by a extremely bright light that he can't even look straight into, and his entire world is now getting distorted. If you look on the left side of your screen, you can see a very, very dark figure on the left. That is the hallway. This dark figure, I'm not sure what this actually is, but in the next couple of frames you're going to see that it transforms into the person. However, this is very odd. This actually gave me a lot of shivers looking at this. This creature seems to have some form here. Despite it just being black, we see white in the middle of its body, we see white on its face. I'm not sure. Again, this can just be the editing of the video itself, or they can actually be planted here. I'm not sure. Perhaps him opening up the door did something to him. We now see the person walk out into the street, walking towards the car. Now here's the two endings I would like to talk about. Either he opened up the door, was greeted by this light, he was knocked out, and he woke up when it was daylight, walked down the stairs into the car and started to leave. Or what I actually think happened here was that he opened up the door, the people on the other side didn't really like that, so they knocked him out, possessing him with that ink, his entire body, and now he is being taken over. One thing that points to this is that as soon as he walks out, the person in the car is already there and he's already ready to leave this parking lot. I think that creature we were describing before, that again he managed to communicate with this insider who knows everything that's going on and told him to get ready to leave. Very, very interesting stuff. that's going to be end of my analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. The thumbs up tells me if you want me to keep making this content here. But that's gonna be it for this video. I'm gonna be out of here. Thank you guys for listening. Deuces.